Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and this is episode 4 of Eve Noob Alpha ISK Making Guide. I'm still not going to get that title right. In the last episode, we did talk about third-party tools, and we started to err on the edge of basically what we were looking at, which was essentially we were looking at doing hauling for ISK. Hauling for ISK is a great way to start making ISK for a new character. Essentially, the concept is that we're going to be going from one, region to another, and in those between those regions, we're basically going to be looking at items that can flip for a certain amount of money. So we talked about some of the tools for navigation, and we did talk about Eve Trade being one of the tools that would really assist in these sorts of things. So what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to look at where we are on the map. And from there, we're going to make a decision to go from region A to region B to try and make some ISK. Now, usually going from outer regions to trade hubs is probably the best way to make ISK to start. However, sometimes you will find loot that's sitting out in other regions that could potentially also make you quite a bit of money. For the purposes of this particular exercise, we can see here the forge. The forge is probably, I believe the forge is where Jita is. So we've got the forge there. We've got the forge over here, and we've also got the citadel. So these are two regions. So we can have a look here from the forge to the citadel. They're neighboring regions. And basically, we're in the citadel at the moment. We're going to see if we can get anything from this region here to go to this region here. What do we need to do to start? Well, in the previous episodes, we did fit up a hauling Magnate, which is a T1 frigate. It's usually used for exploration. However, its base for the amount of stuff you can fit in is quite high, and we've boosted that up with very minimal ISK. It took us about 1 million ISK to build this to 1159.6 M3, which is more than enough to get started, especially depending on what you're looking to haul. We have about, I believe, 3 million ISK at the moment. Yeah, let's just go with 3 million. So we've got 3 million ISK at the moment. So 1,000 something M3. So all of these, just keep them up. You know, you're going to need this information. And of course, we are going to go to evetrade.space. So in Eve Trade, we're going to go from region to region. Now, we did mention where we were before. You can use .land, you can use the in-game map. Basically, it's not going to matter too much in this circumstance. So the Citadel to the Forge. So basically, we're going to type in here the Citadel. And then we're going to go to the Forge. Perfect. Now, cargo capacity. That's where we type in our cargo capacity. So it is 1,159.6. We want profits over about 6% ROI because of the fees that we're going to also be looking at. I don't care about security status for now, but if you're a bit worried, you can look at that. And we're going to just put in 3 million ISK. I think that's correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So buying from sell orders, selling as buy orders. What that means is we'll be able to buy straight away, and we will be able to sell straight away. Let's do a... Oop. So it doesn't allow for dots. Let's do a quick search. Now, I haven't included citadels. You can include citadels if you want. The only issue with that is if you can't dock in citadels, then it could be an issue. So I'm just going to go and look at these ones. And let's see what we can get. Hopefully there is some items here that we can find that will give us decent profit. It could be a single flip, it could be multiple flips, it could be multiple stops to get us there. So sometimes in one system you can find quite a few little things to do, but this is essentially looking at every single system in that region and every single system in the neighboring region. So I'm hoping we can get at least one. If not, that's going to be an issue. We'll need to look at other ways that we could potentially do this. But as you can see, it takes a bit of time to load. So whilst we're doing that, I'm just going to quickly flip over to my skill queue and just pop it up until that loads. Because as you know, on a alpha character, you can't put in infinite skill queues. It takes 24 hours of skills and then it drops. So let's just manage that while we're waiting. There we go. I'm still training some things here, but some of these easier ones that we can just pop to our skills. It's better to have multiple skills in your queue than none. And I definitely need to get my power grid upgrades and energy upgrades to 5. So let's just put that in there. And yeah, I think that should be it. Now, one thing I did notice is I haven't actually, for some reason I put in profits over 500,000 ISK. That's probably not going to happen with 3 million starting ISK. So I'm just going to refresh the search whilst doing that. One thing with low ISK, it's probably not going to give you the values you want. So default is the 500,000. That's fine. Just put 0. Let's just do this. Search again. Anyway, so yeah, skill queues. While we're waiting, so with the skills, it's definitely worth training as a new character your energy grid and your power grid upgrades above 2.5. This is going to give you quite a bit of edge when it comes to looking at some of the things in terms of, you know, ships and fittings. It's going to give you a lot more return when you're flying, you know, bigger ships and you need the capacitor or the CPU. So these two in particular, capacitor, yeah, we don't have that. Capacitor management would be good too. All of these ones are very, very important. Engineering is probably the main skill as a base to a lot of your ships. Now, back to the tool. We have loaded up quite a few now, and we can see here there's a couple of columns to look at. Now, if you're a nerd, you can export this to Excel. Usually I just look at it in here. I don't really need to take it out of anywhere. You can show and hide columns. You can filter by station names. There's a whole bunch of things here you can do. My favorite one is actually looking at what's going to take the minimal amount of jumps. And you can actually just filter like this. You can see here that there is something at sell 1,200 and buying at 2,000. It's 2 jumps, you double your ISK. Now, obviously this is not a big return. For 1,000 ISK, go there, take it, fly, jump. It's not really worth it. So what we can do is also look at total profit. Now this one's a bit better, but it's going to take 10 jumps and I need to go to a low sec system. However, I could buy 2 at 1.4 mil, costing me 2.8 mil in total, and then sell it at 1.5 mil, making 220,000 profit. And the list goes on. There's a couple of items like this that, you know, we can go out, take, fly out, and sell at JITA. JITA being the trade hub. So there is some profitable items here. So, you know, if I just went and basically jumped from station to station with my current ISK balance, that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, we're making a mil easily, and all we're doing is flying around buying and selling. If I wanted to make quick ISK, these are the ones to look at. But you can see the profit is fairly low. This one here is not too bad, 100,000 ISK profit. You'll need 500 M3 of space. It's not too bad. Now, if I wanted to look at volumes, this is probably the one with the most volume. 5 jumps, and I get an ROI of about 8.5%. So there's a whole bunch of things you can look at here to essentially make your decision. This is not too bad, 30,000 ISK per jump, and that's how you calculate it. Now, you might be saying, well, these are small values. There's not much here for me to actually contemplate doing this right now. But let's say, for example, you did have more ISK. This is where this starts becoming very profitable. The more ISK you have, the better returns you're going to have. So let's say we took about an hour to make another 5 mil, right? And we've got 8 mil now. So what we can do now is we can search for the same thing, but now we have 8 mil of ISK, and you're going to be able to buy more expensive items. You're going to be able to buy items that are going to give you better return, which means you're now opening up your possibilities to a lot more. So this is where this sort of stuff becomes awesome. Now, I've done flips where I've had the 30 mil balance and I've flipped to 60 mil in about an hour. I mean, when you're talking about items that give you over 100% return, you have to play the percentages game. It's basically the amount of ISK you have. If you can double that ISK in a shorter period of time, and then you can actually play with bigger items, which means you're going to get more profit. So you can see here, if I've actually calculated it now, there's other items out here and there's more that you can buy. It's still searching, so there's going to be a lot more items coming up. But there's certainly a aspect to this of the more ISK you have, the better it is. Now, another one to look at, if we go back here, is trade hub to trade hub hauling. This is a lot more popular. So trade hub to trade hub hauling is essentially something that's very interesting. And when you start to look at that, that could get into some serious ISK, but you also need to look out for some warning signs and make sure that you're not being scammed. So if we have a look at the map here, basically we can look at, for example, Amar. Amar is the second most populated trade hub. So from Amar to, I think, the Forge, it takes about 14 jumps around that. Don't quote me on that. But it's a fair distance. Now, you can imagine both of these trade hubs are going to give you prices that are fairly competitive. However, because Amar is a smaller trade hub and less populated, hauling something from Jita to Amar might actually make you quite a bit of profit, because players that fly down here, down the bottom of the map, they're not necessarily going to go to Jita to get the best rates. They're going to come up to Amar to buy what they need to buy. So your items will move, you'll make, things will sell fast, but at the same time, you're now servicing a different population of the game. You're now servicing people that are in Stain, in Aquarius, in Delve, people that have wormholes that are connected to down here, people who are doing faction warfare down here. So as a trader and as a hauler, what you've now created is a market where you can basically bring up, because this is where it's mostly populated, you've got big alliances up here as well that also buy from Jita. So things are going to get cheaper up here. So if you bring them down to Amar, you're going to actually be able to make potentially some profit just by hauling things. So this is another popular method, which is basically to go from one trade up to one trade up. And I'll show you how to do that in a sec. Let's go back to browser sec. So for a second. So, I mentioned before, we have 8 mil now. So now you can see here, this costs 4.2 mil because we don't have 4 mil at the moment. But if we bought 4 of these field stabilizers now, we could make 360k profit rather than I believe it was like 100k before. There it is, 220k. So gradually over time, your ROI is going to get better and better. Now, for the purposes of this exercise, let's go back because I did mention trade hub to trade hub trading. So if we go single station and then we go Jita, which is, sorry, not single station, my bad. Let's go back. Station to station is what you want to look at. Jita to Amar, show me all of them. My cargo is 1,500, let's just say, and my budget is 3 mil, ROI of 6%. Let's search. So this is going to give us basically what I was talking about earlier. If I buy something from Jita and if I send it to Amar, whoops, I put in 300k, I was missing a 0. Let's go back. How much profit could I potentially make? So Jita to Amar, let's just add a 0 there. There we go. And yeah, it's interesting because what people don't know is if I actually, let's have a look right now. So if I was to, and this is an easy way to check how long it will take to do something. Let's say I was in Jita. Whoops. So let's set our destination there and let's just make Amar a waypoint. There we go, 10 jumps. So it's 10 jumps. It's actually not too bad. So 10 jumps and we can potentially make 155k profit, but that's 2 mil. We can also buy this, we can make half a mil of profit just with 10 jumps with one trip. That's going to give us another, and then when we go, we can do the reverse, so we can go from Amar to Jita and see what we can do there, and we can continue our trips. So every 10 jumps we're making about a mil, and over time as we're getting more ISK, as we're progressing, we're now starting to make 5 mil, 6 mil, 8 mil. So this is an exponential growth of ISK, and it's a pretty solid method, and you can do this with a 1 mil ship. So Give it a go. Trade hauling is a legitimate method of making ISK, and if you did enjoy this video, hit that like button, hit subscribe, let me know in the comments what you thought, if you've seen the other episodes and if you're liking the flow. Let me know if I'm missing out on anything. I might be covering these fairly loosely for some people, because if you're new to the game and I've obviously played the game, I might be missing out on things that I just expect you to know. Once again, thank you. My name's EveNoob, and I'll see you on the next episode.